The first rays of dawn stretched across the sanctuary like liquid gold, spilling over the tall grasses and brushing the riverbank with gentle warmth. Dew clung to every leaf and blade of grass, turning the world into a sea of glittering jewels. A soft mist hovered just above the water, curling and twisting in slow, lazy movements as though the river itself were breathing. Somewhere in the trees, a flock of hornbills flitted from branch to branch, their calls echoing like distant bells. The air was rich with the scent of wet earth, fresh leaves, and the faint temps of river water, carrying the promise of another day, untouched by humans, at the edge of the river. A baby rhino crouched low, its stubby legs wobbling slightly as it tested the cool water with a tentative step. Tiny splashes erupted as its small feet kicked against the gentle current, sending droplets glittering into the golden light. It trumpeted softly in excitement, a high-pitched, playful sound that seemed to make the world pause for just a moment. Around it, the riverbank was alive with movement. Dragonflies skimmed the water's surface, and small birds dipped and darted between reeds. The baby rhino's curiosity was endless. Each ripple, each floating leaf, was a new wonder to explore. Not far off, hidden among the shadows of the forest, a silverback gorilla sat motionless. Its massive frame blended seamlessly with the dark foliage, and yet its eyes deep, thoughtful, almost human in their intelligence, never left the playful rhino. There was a stillness to the gorilla that suggested wisdom earned through years of survival. It did not approach, nor did it make a sound. It merely watched, chest rising and falling with slow, steady breaths. A silent guardian over the fragile ballet of life before it. Occasionally, its hand would brush against a branch, feeling the textures, the dampness of the morning, the quiet heartbeat of the jungle around it. The sanctuary, though tranquil, held subtle signs that not all was as peaceful as it seemed. A shadow flickered beneath the water, quick, deliberate, and dark against the sunlit surface. The ripples carried an unfamiliar pattern, a disturbance too purposeful to be random. The bird songs seemed to hesitate for just a moment, as if the air itself had sensed the approaching danger. The gorilla's ears twitched, picking up a soft, low hum of movement beneath the surface, a rhythm that did not belong to wind or river insects. Even the baby rhino paused mid-splash, its small eyes narrowing slightly, ears flicking. Sensing something beyond its understanding, time in the riverbank world was measured in breaths and small movements. A dragonfly landed on the rhino's back, its delicate wings vibrating against the thick skin, and the baby rhino stomped playfully, unaware that the river's calm mask was hiding a predator. A fallen log lay half-submerged, and beneath it, the crocodile's eyes glinted just above the waterline, reflecting the golden sunlight like shards of green glass. It remained perfectly still, its immense body hidden beneath the rippling surface, every muscle coiled with patient anticipation. A predator older than the sanctuary itself, waiting for the moment when innocence would wander too close. The gorilla's gaze shifted slightly, focusing on the subtle tension in the air, the quiet stirrings beneath the river's surface. It had seen these signs before, in other places, with other creatures. The forest whispered warnings in sounds too small for humans to notice. A sudden silence in the birds, a shiver in the leaves, a ripple that didn't belong. The gorilla leaned forward slightly, nostrils flaring, reading the river like an open map. It did not move toward the rhino, but the weight of its presence was protective, heavy, and watchful, as though the forest itself had lent it authority over the tiny creature. The baby rhino resumed its splashing, blissfully ignorant of the danger nearby. Water droplets clung to its rough gray skin, glistening in the sunlight, and its tiny horn cast a small shadow on the wet sand. It rolled its trunk through the shallow water, sending up small arcs of liquid that sparkled in the morning light. Joy and wonder radiated from its every movement, a pure innocence that seemed to fill the sanctuary with warmth. Even the river itself appeared softer here, bending its flow gently around the rhino, cradling it as if in recognition of its vulnerability. Yet the shadow beneath the water did not move without purpose. The crocodile remained perfectly still, watching, calculating, its dark eyes unreadable. A slow flick of its tail caused a ripple that ran toward the riverbank. Unnoticed by the baby rhino, the wind shifted, carrying a faint, earthy scent of predator and river alike, brushing past the gorilla's face. Its lips pressed together, and a soft, low exhale escaped, almost a warning carried only in the language of the wild. It did not act, but it prepared. Preparation itself was a form of power. The surrounding forest seemed alive with tiny vibrations, a delicate symphony of senses and instinct. Dragonflies danced, reeds swayed, and somewhere further back, a distant herd of antelope shifted nervously, their ears flicking in sync with the silent alarm. Every element of the sanctuary was part of a network: the river, the trees, the soft rustling of leaves, communicating in ways only creatures attuned to the wild could perceive. The baby rhino's innocence was a fragile jewel within this intricate web, its playful energy, oblivious to the danger, edging ever closer as the sun climbed higher. The golden light caught the water in dazzling patterns, breaking the surface into shards of brilliance. The gorilla remained motionless but alert, a sentinel carved from muscle and quiet intelligence. It was a living shadow among shadows, waiting, watching, understanding the delicate balance of life and death unfolding around the riverbank. The baby rhino splashed again, and for a moment, the sanctuary breathed with pure serenity. A pause before the inevitable shift, and beneath the glittering surface, the crocodile stirred, barely enough to disturb the sunlit patterns on the river. The scene held a fragile tension, a balance between wonder and peril. Every splash, every breath, every shifting shadow carried the weight of an unseen drama waiting to unfold. The baby rhino's curiosity, the gorilla's silent vigilance, and the lurking predator formed a triangle of fate, one innocent moment away from shattering, one heartbeat away from testing courage and instinct in ways neither creature could yet understand. The morning seemed endless, golden and calm, but the subtle unease had settled like a low fog over the sanctuary. Every creature present felt it, even if only faintly. The river whispered promises of life and warnings of danger. The gorilla's eyes held the wisdom of ages, and the baby rhino splashed, unaware that its joyful world teetered on the edge of chaos. Somewhere beneath the sunlit ripples, the first act of a dramatic story waited silently to begin, ready to transform innocence into courage, fear into action, and curiosity into survival. The sanctuary remained still, golden light draping the riverbank like a shroud of warmth and beauty. A gentle wind lifted the scent of earth and water, rustling the grasses as if nature itself held its breath. The baby rhino paused, lifting its head to glance toward the forest, toward the quiet shadow of the gorilla, toward the river that held more than it could see. For now, the world was calm, delicate, and beautiful. For now, the story had only begun. The river erupted without warning. One moment, the water had been gentle, golden light glinting off its surface. The next, it roared, as if alive with fury. The crocodile struck with terrifying precision, its massive jaws snapping shut around the baby rhino's hind leg. A sharp, high-pitched trumpet pierced the morning, echoing across the sanctuary, a sound of pure panic and disbelief. Water splashed into the air like shards of glass, mud churned into the current, and the fragile rhythm of the riverbank shattered in an instant. The baby rhino kicked and thrashed, trying to escape, but the crocodile's grip was iron, relentless, a force of nature older than the river itself. The silverback gorilla froze for only a heartbeat before the world demanded action. Its chest heaved, muscles taut and trembling, a mixture of fear and determination coursing through its massive body. Dust rose from the riverbank as it lunged forward, arms swinging, palms pounding against the wet earth. The gorilla's roar cut through the chaos, low and guttural, a sound that seemed to shake the trees and ripple across the water. For a moment, it hesitated at the edge, facing a gut-wrenching choice: stay safe on shore and bellow in frustration, or plunge into the unknown to protect a helpless life. The decision came not in thought, but instinct. With a sudden, explosive motion, the gorilla launched itself into the river, plunging into the churning water with a force that sent waves crashing in all directions. The baby rhino's cries mingled with the roar of the gorilla, creating a chaotic chorus that seemed to hang in the air like a suspended storm. Water sprayed into the sky, sunlight scattering across droplets, turning the scene into a surreal mosaic of gold and silver. The crocodile thrashed, tail lashing, but the gorilla moved with deliberate precision, striking at the predator's flanks. Slamming its massive fists against the scaled armor with incredible force, every moment stretched into eternity. The baby rhino struggled, legs flailing, mud coating its tiny body. Its eyes, wide with terror, met the silverbacks for a brief, frozen instant, a glance filled with desperate hope and trust. The gorilla responded with a flurry of movements, a shove here, a grab there, using the momentum of the water to its advantage. The predator hissed and snapped, the powerful current tugging at all three creatures, turning the river into a blur of motion, sound, and tension. Each second was measured in heartbeats. Every splash, a potential turning point between life and death. The crocodile attempted to drag its prey further into the murky depths, but the gorilla anticipated the move, anchoring its powerful legs against the riverbed and pivoting its massive body to meet the predator's strength. Water churned violently around them, the current rising with sudden urgency. Branches and reeds whipped past, and small fish scattered like sparks as the chaos spread. The sanctuary seemed to hold its breath, the distant calls of birds stifled, as if nature itself watched the unfolding drama with bated anticipation. The baby rhino's small trunk flailed, searching for any support, brushing against the gorilla's chest. That touch, fleeting and instinctive, sparked a surge of energy within the silverback. Every muscle screamed with effort, but it was a calculated fury, controlled yet unrelenting. The gorilla slammed a solid fist into the crocodile's snout, and the predator let out a hiss of frustration, retreating momentarily. The current tugged, but the silverback held fast, gripping the rhino gently but firmly, guiding it toward the shallows with patient, raw power. Time seemed to fracture. A single splash could have meant disaster. A single misstep could have ended in tragedy. The baby rhino's legs burned with exhaustion, its small body trembling in terror and effort. Yet it followed instinctively, trusting the guardian that had appeared in its moment of dire need. The gorilla's strength was terrifying, awe-inspiring, a reminder that the wild could be both merciless and protective. It struck again at the crocodile's flank, forcing the predator to release its hold, if only partially, buying precious seconds that felt like lifetimes. The riverbank loomed closer, and with one final, desperate surge, the silverback heaved the baby rhino upward, away from the churning water. The crocodile snapped and hissed in frustration, but the gorilla's weight and momentum carried both of them to the shallow edge. Mud coated their bodies, water dripping in rivulets, but for a brief moment, the world seemed to pause. The baby rhino fell into the wet sand, trembling, lungs heaving, and then collapsed on its side, save for the first time since the attack began. The gorilla stood above it, chest heaving, ears flicking, scanning the river for any sign of renewed threat. The chaos slowly ebbed. Water settled back into gentle ripples, and the river returned to its shimmering calm, the golden sunlight once again sparkling across the surface. The baby rhino lay still, trembling but alive, its small chest rising and falling as it drew ragged breaths. The gorilla crouched beside it, chest to chest, as if to say, "You are safe? I am here." For a moment, neither spoke nor moved beyond the slow rhythm of survival, allowing the gravity of what had just happened to sink in. In the silence, the sanctuary seemed to exhale. Birds returned to their branches, insects buzzed over the muddy banks, and the golden light painted the scene in warmth and awe. The river, once violent and threatening, now flowed gently, reflecting the sky and the silhouettes of two unlikely companions. The baby rhino's eyes, wide and still glistening with fear, met the gorilla's gaze again. In that unspoken connection, trust was reaffirmed, fragile but real, a bond forged in the most extreme of circumstances. The sunlight caught the droplets on their skin, turning them into fleeting diamonds that hung in the air like a promise. Slowly, the gorilla shifted, brushing a massive hand over the rhino's back, grounding it in presence and protection. The baby rhino responded with a small nudge, tentative, yet a glimmer of hope flickering in its wide eyes. Nature had tested them, demanded courage, and exacted fear. But it had also revealed a quiet truth. Survival was not only about strength, but about connection, instinct, and the willingness to act when fear threatened to paralyze. As the river returned to its normal rhythm, the sanctuary seemed to settle into an uneasy peace. The gold of morning softened into a warmer, steady light, and the distant trees swayed gently with the wind. Every creature, present, predator, prey, and guardian alike felt the tension dissolve, replaced by a fragile hope that lingered like morning mist over the water. The baby rhino lifted its head, looking toward the forest, toward the shadow of the gorilla that had saved it, and then back to the river. Still wary but alive, the scene held a quiet, almost reverent pause. Life, with all its terror and courage, had played out in a single, shattering moment. And in that pause, the sanctuary reminded itself of a truth as old as the river, that the wild was not only cruel, but capable of unexpected heroism, and that even the smallest, most vulnerable life could find protection in the most unlikely of allies. Chapter 3: Rescue, Survival, or Revelation, the river's surface, once roiling with chaos and violence, now lay in gentle ripples, reflecting the soft warmth of the late morning sun. Water lapped quietly at the muddy banks, its murmurs a tender reminder that the storm had passed. The baby rhino remained on the sand, trembling, chest heaving, legs weak from the frantic struggle moments before. Its tiny horn glinted under the sun, wet and muddy, a fragile badge of survival. The once frightened eyes blinked slowly, adjusting to a world that, though dangerous, had not claimed it. The air was thick with the scent of wet earth and riverweed, carrying the distant buzz of insects returning to their routine. Somewhere high above, a hornbill's call sliced through the stillness, tentative but unmistakably alive. Beside the young rhino, the silverback gorilla crouched, chest rising and falling in steady but heavy breaths. Its eyes scanned the riverbank with vigilance, still wary of hidden currents or sudden movements. A faint ripple caused it to tense, muscles coiling like springs ready for action. But the crocodile had disappeared into the deeper waters, its threat momentarily subdued. The gorilla's massive hand rested lightly on the rhino's back, a gesture of protection, more symbolic than physical, communicating without words, "You are safe now." The baby rhino nudged against the gorilla's hand with its small trunk, hesitant but seeking reassurance, and for a moment, the tension that had gripped the sanctuary seemed to dissolve in the quiet touch. The scene unfolded like a slow symphony of recovery. Birds that had fled during the attack returned cautiously, perching on branches with delicate movements, their chirps tentative at first, then gradually more confident. A flock of small weaver birds flitted along the far bank, weaving patterns of shadow and light over the water. The river shimmered under the golden sun, each droplet reflecting the sanctuary's rebirth from near tragedy. The mud-streaked rhino lifted its legs cautiously, testing the stability of the riverbank. Its steps were small and deliberate, every movement a mixture of fear and tentative trust, but each one signaled a remarkable will to survive. In this moment, the boundaries between species blurred. The gorilla's presence was both a shield and a comfort, an unspoken acknowledgement that courage and compassion could transcend instinct and expectation, even as the baby rhino had been helpless moments ago. It now moved with a tentative agency, aware of the strength standing beside it. Nature, both cruel and kind, had orchestrated this delicate balance, predator and guardian, terror and mercy, struggle and relief, all entwined in a single living tapestry. The sunlight fell through the trees at an angle, illuminating the two creatures in a painterly frame, as if the world itself paused to honor their survival. A subtle wind swept across the riverbank, stirring the tall grasses and sending a shower of droplets glinting like tiny stars through the sunlight. The gorilla lifted its head slightly, sniffing the air, its ears flicking toward distant sounds. A heron taking flight. The low murmur of a distant elephant herd, the rustle of small mammals in the undergrowth. Nothing threatened. For the first time in what felt like hours, there was peace, tentative but real. The baby rhino wobbled on its legs, then took a few unsteady steps forward, trunk swinging awkwardly, mud dripping from its skin. Each step brought a small sense of triumph, a quiet celebration of survival, as the gorilla watched, chest swelling with silent pride as the rhino gained confidence. The gorilla allowed itself to relax, shifting slightly to sit fully beside the baby. Its enormous hand hovered over the riverbank, still ready to act, but the urgency had passed. In the soft hush of the sanctuary, a bond had been forged, fragile but unbreakable. Life and death had danced at the water's edge, and in the aftermath, a new understanding had emerged. The gorilla and the baby rhino shared a mutual respect born of survival. a wordless acknowledgement that sometimes courage manifests in unexpected forms, and protection comes from those one might least expect. The riverbanks seemed to breathe along with them. Tiny ripples traveled across the water, sunlight sparkling on each crest. Insects hummed as they resumed their work, skimming over the water with delicate precision. Birds called to one another, hesitant at first, then growing bolder. The sanctuary, once still with tension, had begun its slow, natural rhythm again. The baby rhino took a few more steps, brushing against the gorilla's leg, almost as if checking that the guardian remained. Each nudge, each careful movement, was a testament to resilience. To the fragile thread of life that had not been broken despite the river's fury, time seemed to stretch and compress all at once. Measured not by minutes, but by small victories, a safe step, a reassuring touch, a calming breath. The gorilla's eyes softened, reflecting both the exhaustion of battle and the quiet joy of survival. It had risked itself, entering the churning waters of the river, guided only by instinct and empathy. Its muscles relaxed slightly, but its presence remained a protective shadow, a reminder that even in the harshest environments, courage and compassion could coexist. The baby rhino found its footing, standing taller, trunk raised, ears flicking in curiosity rather than fear. It stepped closer to the water's edge, sniffing the currents, alert but no longer paralyzed by terror. The gorilla remained beside it, calm and vigilant, a silent sentinel. The river sparkled under the sun, golden and silver against the muddy banks, reflecting not only light but the miracle of survival. The sanctuary, vast and untamed, stretched out beyond them the tall grasses, the distant trees, the winding river, and the endless sky. A theater in which life and death, fear and protection, were performed every day. The wind shifted again, carrying the scents of the river, wet earth, and distant blossoms. The baby rhino nudged the gorilla's hand once more, and the gorilla responded with a slow, gentle movement, an acknowledgement of trust and connection. Around them, the sanctuary continued its quiet work. A leaf fell from a tree. A bird took flight. A ripple passed across the water. Life resumed, fragile but insistent, proof that even after terror, hope could take root. Finally, the baby rhino wandered a few paces away, testing its strength, then turned back once to glance at the gorilla. In that look was gratitude, instinctive and pure, the kind of bond that transcended language. The gorilla watched silently, chest rising and falling, knowing that its role as guardian had mattered, that courage had made a difference. The sun climbed higher, casting long shadows across the riverbank, highlighting the mud-smeared rhino and the enormous, watchful figure beside it. As the scene drew to a close, the sanctuary seemed to sigh with relief. The river murmured gently, the wind whispered through the grasses, and the golden light bathed the creatures in warmth and quiet awe. Life, with all its dangers and surprises, had asserted itself, but so had compassion and courage. The baby rhino's tentative steps, the gorilla's protective presence, and the gentle rhythm of the restored river offered a reflection on the lessons of the wild. Bravery can come in unexpected forms. Empathy can transcend instinct, and survival is often a shared story. Written across species and moments of trust, the camera of imagination pulls back slowly. The sanctuary stretches into the distance, a vast living stage where life continues. Delicate and intricate, full of danger and kindness alike. Somewhere in the trees, a bird sings a long, clear note. The river sparkles like silver, and the baby rhino, safe for now, begins its slow, cautious journey back into the wild. In the quiet, the world seems to whisper a timeless truth. Sometimes the wild teaches more about courage, compassion, and connection than any human ever could.